So there's a few devotees, more than a few, that requested that be done either today or tomorrow. So I'll give you that option. Maybe either today or tomorrow you can share that, and devotees will record it for posterity. And otherwise, whatever you are inspired to speak about today, we'll be happy to hear from you. But know that there are strong requests for either today or tomorrow. They're doing that, recount again of your life experience leading up to Krishna consciousness.
Well, let's see how many of the present devotees already heard that. Please raise your hands.
Not
I heard that so many times. You heard that?
I heard also, but many other devotees heard of that.
Maybe tomorrow will be larger crowd.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Canton, because most of the devotees from here are come there. And
Whatever. Tomorrow?
okay, no.
At least for today I can be relieved. Independent mind.
It's sinking?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Looping. If we move this black.
Yeah.
It is from my profile.
Yeah, that's good. Somebody's.
This four. Hare Krishna.
Explain.
There is a joke about one man wearing the, hearing aid with the, the old style hearing aid with the wire coming down. And so someone's asking him, is that thing really helps you to hear better? He says, not really, but when people see the wire, they tend to speak louder. So it's like the microphones are not necessarily, amplify the voice, but when the speaker sees the microphone in front of his mouth, he tends to speak louder. All right, so Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The real guest of honor is on your altar today. Shri Giriraj Devata Ki Jai. And I'm happy to be back to the Harmony Collective 108. Sachi Sutta Prabhu suggested that I speak one story, I share one story about Giriraj and how he's connected to the 108. How much time do we have?
7:20. How much time we have?
When do we finish?
Yeah.
What's the normal schedule?
Like an hour.
An hour, okay.
8:30.
Okay, so maybe we could chant Jayaratamada, read a bit from Bhagavad Gita.
What?
It's not a very standard tune, but it's a traditional raga, so I'm sure you can easily follow it. Radha that verse will help us to see the connection between Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, and in general, the main principle connecting all types of yoga. So this is quite famous verse. I'm sure many devotees will know this verse, Sanskrit. So we can repeat it. Yoginamapi sarvesham
Yoginamapi sarvesham
Matkatanantaratmana
Bhakti-antaratmana
Shadhavan bhajate yo mam
Shadhavan bhajate yo mam
Samyuktamo mataha.
Samayuktamo mataha.
Translation for everybody Divine Graces Bhakti Swami. So Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. However, the word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the word bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called these scorchers, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam 11.5.3 confirms this as follows. Ya esham purusham sakshat atma prabhavam ishvaram avajananti stanat brasta patanjana. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse also the word bhajanti is used. Therefore bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied, enlightened. The word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita, avajananti mamutha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead called Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions toward the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga without fruitful results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, this stage is called Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the Supersoul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it's called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Krishna, it's called Bhakti Yoga. The culmination. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. And we'll read this sentence one more time. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. Okay? So without understanding other yogas, it's not possible to understand Bhakti Yoga. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name: Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, or Jnana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it's to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga, just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, in which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. So, I think it's pretty clear. Srila Prabhupada explains that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga system. I believe we are on the top floor of the building. And so, the top floor is the most important because we have deities, we have Srila Prabhupada, but the least noticed part of the building is foundation, right? But can the top floor exist without the foundation? No. So, in the same way, even though Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga, but the other yogas are foundational and preliminary stages without which Bhakti Yoga can't really exist. And it shows in many places. For example, sometimes it appears that those who are engaged in Bhakti Yoga, they do not really follow, or they don't really have the foundation in other yogas. For example, residents of Vrindavan, especially gopis, they just love Krishna as their lover. And it appears like they have no knowledge that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? But then if you read carefully, for example, Gopi Gita, which is one of the most famous chapters in the 10th canto, Gopi's song in separation from Krishna, then they say very clearly that we know very well that you're not just the son of Yashoda, of friend, but you are the super soul dwelling in everyone's heart. So they do have jnana, yoga. They do have spiritual knowledge. They understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It's just they don't care. Right. Like, for example, mother of a president of the country, she knows that the son is president. But still, when, for example, he goes to his work, for example, he visited her, and then he goes to his work, and she tells him, please put on some warm socks. It's a little chill outside, and he would say, okay, no, it's all right. I'll do without it because I'll be out of the building into the car and then into the office. I won't need those socks. But she says, just in case, better that you wear those socks. And he would say, no, thank you, I won't. But then she would insist. But then, for example, the whoever assistant of the president or secretary of the president would say, excuse me, man, he is the president of the country. You know, I think he can decide what he wants to do. And then the mother would say, he's the president for you, but for me, he's my son. So we can see that even in the material world, the higher rasa kind of dominates the lower rasa, right? That the kind of things and the kind of intimacy of relationship allowed at home would never be allowed in the office, as Srila Prabhupada described, etc. So this is very important for us to understand, otherwise it's going to be like sahaja understanding. If we are practicing bhakti, and we require no karma, no dhyana, no nothing, right? No culture, no common sense. Sometimes, unfortunately, the ways think like that already became transcendental, right? And so we don't require any common sense. But Srila Prabhupada was saying that 90% of Krishna consciousness is common sense. I think this is really important quote. And so this is why we study Srila Prabhupada's books, to understand that full picture. And so I think this is really a good question. How karma and bhakti are connected. What's the connection between all types of yogas? So Prabhupada continues, it is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shyamasundar, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is as a cauldron as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahma Jyoti. His incarnations in different forms, such as Brahma, Nrsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. The stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by Bhakti Yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Yesterday, Parabhaktirya Thadevi Tatha Guru Tasye Kathita Katha Lakashanti Mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, and are all the importance of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Shuddhashatara Upanishad 6:23. Bhakti Rasayana Bhajanam Tat Iham Mutro Padhi Nairasyena Mushmin Mana Kalpanam Etat Eva Naishkaramyam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naishkaramya, Gopaltapani Upanishad 1:15. These are some of the means for performance of Bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. Thus, and the Bhakti Vedanta purpose in the 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Jnana Yoga. So, we know that yoga means link or connection, and there are 3 features of spiritual development. Vadanti Tattva Varidas Jnanamadvayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaneti Shaktika. First stage is Brahman, then Paramatma, and then Bhagavan. And yoga is the process how we can link ourselves with the Supreme And so everything starts with karma yoga, because karma means activity, and activities are always meant for some results, and so this is what everyone wants, to get some result. That's why everyone is doing something. And then it's called karma. But then karma yoga means we dedicate the results of our activities to Krishna. And by that we become detached from the results. Actually, it is only possible if we act according to our nature, because detachment from the results is only possible when we have higher taste. And we're not even speaking about the high spiritual taste. We're just speaking about higher taste on the conditional level, which comes from enjoyment when you act according to your nature. That's why out of the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, there are 3 statements repeated verbatim, and one of them is Shreyan Swadharma Viduna Paradharma Svanushtita, that it's better to act performing duties according to your combination of modes. Talking about material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, so everyone is conditioned in a different way. And so it is called material nature. And so it is better to act according to your nature before performing your duties in the society. And so when you act according to your nature, you don't even care about the results, because you enjoy the process itself, right? For example, one who is musician by nature, he would play music. He would play music in a big hall with thousands of people clapping and appreciating, and he would also play music on his own because this is what gives him pleasure. Or an artist, someone who is an artist by nature, he will paint, and it doesn't really matter. I've seen artists. It doesn't really matter if the paintings will sell or not. It's his nature, right? Or cook. He will cook and he will never get, There are some devotees I've seen that they really enjoy cooking, so they don't care. If they have to cook like every single day for many hours, they enjoy it, etc. And so this is really important, because the first thing to become free from is attachment to the fruits of our activity. And this is only possible if we are attached to the activity itself. This is what Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to the ninth text of the 10th chapter, 10:9. And then next one is that we dedicate this activity to Krishna, to Krishna's pleasure. You see, when you have no attachment to the fruits, you can give 100% of the fruits to Krishna, right? Without thinking, without worrying about yourself. And that's been the case with Arjuna, because he was fighting was his nature. And so he could fully dedicate his nature for Krishna service without worrying about the results. And then we can talk about beginning of spiritual advancement. Brahma Buddha Prasanatma Nashachati Nakakshati Samasarvishu Buddhishu Mad Bhakti Mamate Param, as Bhagavad Gita explains. that one who is situated on this level of Brahma Buddha, then he will be prasanatma, he will be satisfied. And Nashati Nakamshati will not hanker for anything and will not lament about anything. And Samasarvesha Buddhism will treat all living entities equally, and this is a platform for engagement in devotional service, not Bhakti Param. Then next stage is Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana means meditation on the Super Soul of the heart. And then, after one becomes accomplished in that, then one will act according to the guidance of the Super Soul. And then, from there, one will develop his personal relationship with the Supreme Soul. So, this is the, in a nutshell, this is the process of advancement in yoga. And of course, the topmost level is Bhakti Yoga, Machita, Manmana, Matmato, Madeji, Manamaski, Evachte, Silito, Atmana, Matparayana. That one will think of Krishna, Manmana, and will become Krishna's devotee, Bhavaman Bhakto, then Madhyaji. One will sacrifice everything for the Supreme Lord. Yaji stands for Yagya. And Yagya means any activity for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And then Namam Namaskaram, then one will worship the Supreme Lord. And Krishna says, in this way, one will definitely come to me. So, this is the full picture. And that's why everything in Bhagavad Gita is just, the parts of the same process. So, in Russia we say you cannot take out words from the song, right? If you take the word out of the song, it will be incomplete. So Bhagavad Gita is God's song. So that's why it's really important for us to understand that every single verse, every single word in Bhagavad Gita is part of the picture. And even though there are higher and lower, but there is nothing unimportant. That's important to understand. But there is nothing unimportant. Everything is part of the picture. Alright? So, any comments, questions on the subject? Yes?
I really liked what you said, that if one is acting according to their nature, that it's very easy to give up results. And one thing I notice, a lot of the devotees in this community, I see that a lot. So I could relate to that a lot. And the question I have is that we're conditioned by certain modes of nature, and at the same time, I think Srila Prabhupada wants us all to come to be Brahmins. So in some way we're challenging ourselves also to follow a program that's maybe against our conditioning. So how to not confuse my prescribed duties with perhaps obstinance or something. Like, is that clear, the question?
Yeah. Where is the border between acting against our nature and activities which are conducive for devotional service or something like that?
Something like that.
Falsely taking shelter of your nature as an excuse for not
Yes, that's
What's that?
Falsely taking shelter of your nature as an excuse for not rising to a higher standard.
Okay.
a very clear use.
Yeah. Well, this is very nicely explained in the second chapter, text 47. It's actually a very famous verse, and it's really mind-blowing, if you consider the full picture. I mean, in India, because I believe one in some movie, it was quoted about maybe Vishnu Purana or something like that. So that's why almost every Indian knows this verse. Karmani vagiti karaste ma pharishu kadachana ma karma pavahetu matesangosva karmani. But unfortunately, they only quote the first line, Karmani Vadikaraste. One should do one's karma. But then they never think about what Krishna says in the other lines of this verse, because next thing he says, Ma Phalishu Kadachana, but the fruits of your activity do not belong to you. Right? It's like Rabindra Swarup joked that everybody is really worried about rights, like human rights. That's really big subject, right, for the modern time. And so people ask, what about rights? That Bhagavad Gita speaks a lot about duties, that we know. But what about rights? If Bhagavad Gita explains anything about rights? And we say, yes. This is the verse which speaks about the rights. And what Krishna says to Arjuna, Arjuna, you have the right to perform your duty. That's the only verse which speaks about rights. Every other verse is about duty only. But this is really... But it is really important for us to understand how is that, like Bhagavad Gita completely evades the topic of the rights. What about the rights? No human rights ever mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. But this is the thing, that if everyone performs one's duties, then everyone's rights are automatically honored. Yeah.
Amazing.
But this verse is really important because, we do, whatever we do for the results, right? And then Krishna says, do your duty, karmani vadikaraste. But then, ma phalishu kadachana, but do not claim any results. You're not going to get any results. And then one may think, okay, if I'm not entitled to any results, then at least I'll enjoy the position of someone who renounced the results, right? So, okay. At least I'll be so noble that I give up the results, right? But then, in the next line, Krishna says, Ma karma phala hetu. Do not consider yourself to be the cause of the results. This is like, I cannot even claim, that I renounced any results, because I'm not the cause of the results. I can't even renounce the results, right? Can't be attached to the results, and you can't even renounce the results. But then, if this is the case, then people say, okay, I will not do it at all. If I cannot enjoy neither gross nor subtle results of my work, I better don't do it at all. But then in the end, Krishna says, Mate sangosva karmani. Never be attached to not doing it. So do not try to evade the activity, right? And so this is like, my God, this is such a pressure. That you cannot avoid doing your duty, but neither gross nor subtle fruits ever belong to you. So this is very high standard, but there is only one possibility of acting in this way, if you actually act according to your nature. And then Ashok Prabhupada mentions very important points in the purport which are actually clarifying the doubts we raised. He says there are three considerations here in prescribed duties, capricious duties, and inaction. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired knowledge of nature. Right? Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. Etc. And then, speaking about prescribed duties, as far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into the three subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions without desire for results is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage, therefore such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the results. Such disinterested, obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. And Srila Prabhupada is not discussing much emergency work, but this is exactly what we are talking about. So, emergency work is something which you have to do. You don't want to do that, but you do it for the sake of, because it's an emergency. Because it has to be done. There is no other way. Like, if there is a fire and there is no fire brigade available, everybody has to roll up the sleeves and put the fire out, right? We may not like to be a fireman, but this is what we have to do. So it's like an emergency work. It's like the war, for example. If there is a war and there is a shortage of soldiers, then everybody is drafted, right? Whoever is that, whoever the person is, baker, shoemaker, it doesn't matter. Everyone is drafted. But it does not mean that, one will enjoy that activity. It's something which has to be done. But then the war is not a permanent situation. It's just kind of temporary situation. So, in normal circumstances, we go back to our routine work. We go back to our natural activities, something like that. So emergency duties are exceptions, and the rule is that we act according to our nature. All right. Yeah.
Thanks, Maharaj. I know it's a large topic, but maybe you can talk something also make you understand what a fit would be. Because that's often a question that's arising amongst devotees coming today when there's not such a clear momentum in the movement for a specific activity like book distribution or temple production, et cetera, et cetera. And so a lot of devotees have a kind of crisis of service. There's not an immediate authority telling you to do this. So there's some uncertainty about how to spend their every day.
Okay. So how to be engaged in Krishna service while living in the material world. Something like that.
Something like that also, yes.
Okay.
And honoring your nature also.
Yes.
That how to know my nature and those questions.
Okay. Actually, what I prefer to be doing is offer devotees training exercises, which would help in a practical way rather than speak hypothetically or philosophically. So, would you like to do some training exercise?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. All right. So, basically speaking, the idea is that we should be doing what we really enjoy doing, and then do it for Krishna, like Arjuna, right? He was really enjoying archery. Everyone knows how Arjuna ended up being called Budakesh. Yeah? I think most of you heard, because he was so crazy about practicing his archery that he decided, let me try to practice at night, because I might be in the situation when I would have to shoot with my eyes closed, like in pitch dark, and still hit the target, right? And so he started practicing that at night, and so basically it was 24 hours, all day and all night, with the exception, like lunch break or dinner break. Otherwise, he would just practice. He gave up sleeping, and we can see many instances. If someone's really enjoying what they do, they can easily give up anything, even sleep, right? Like, I remember I came across one young man, actually Indian, who was working in the airport. And when he saw me in devotee dress, he came and he was asking for you and all, and asking about our lifestyle. And I was saying that we are dedicating ourselves to the Lord's service, and we don't want to spend much time for self-gratification. For example, we reduce our sleep to 6 hours, and I kind of made that statement, being very proud of how austere we are for the 6 hours of sleep. And he said, 6 hours? That's really a lot of time. I sleep maximum 4 hours. And I said, how is that? And he said, well, because I'm working during the day, but at night is the only time when I can socialize and do whatever else I want to do. And I don't want to miss out on those activities, so I just cut on my sleep. So it's like, because he's enjoying what he's doing, he doesn't care about sleep. And so there are many, many examples like that. And so the difficulty is obvious difficulty that we cannot do what we love doing because we have to do other things for money, right? And so money is the major obstacle on the path of acting according to our nature. But the thing is that you can do the best what you really enjoy doing. And actually, if you act according to the nature, you will be successful even financially, even in financial terms. So it's like we are short-selling ourselves for doing something we should not be doing. And in this way, we are missing the opportunity of really, developing ourselves the way we should be. And so, anyway, money for most people is the first and foremost hurdle in doing what they should be doing and what they would rather enjoy doing. And so that's why this is the first question, and you can break into like pairs and tell each other what would you do, what kind of activities would you do if you would have, say, $10 million. If that's not enough, you can have more. No objections. But the idea is that, $10 million, hypothetically at least, is enough for you to stop worrying about making money altogether, right? It's pretty much enough for life. Should be. If you're not living life, if you're not throwing money into the water, it should be enough for you to live your whole life without moving a finger, as we say in Russia, to make more money, right? So basically the question is, what would you do if you would not have to do anything at all? And if you're completely free, it's called financial freedom, right? When you don't have to worry about money anymore. If you achieve your financial freedom, and you would even have extra money or whatever else you want, right? So basically the question is that, what would you do if you have all money in the world, well, all time in the world, and even extra money? So what would you do with all this, right? Good question? Okay. All right, so just a few minutes in pairs, you can tell each other, if you would have this kind of money, what would you do? Maybe 3-4 minutes. Yeah. You can explain to each other.
Now we're growing the state on the
I want to grow and learn how to Yes, I would start a farm with because that's a business the rest of the time you're not having to say just maintain it nice. Have the space in your life and just do it nicely. So everything's in order and nice. Very simple. It is stupid expression because every aspect of the day is part of the day.
One minute.
Every day has an opportunity. I got one of these today. Think about it. Ready to see the skills. But I have one from and drawing food is this is a good fun. 2017. Basically almost
it's not just 1 year and then the next one.
And the thing is that if you do it for sustenance, it's not the difficult nature. Taking care of it, help it with relatively with very little human input. Exactly. If you set up things nicely, just need to be right. The stress comes when you want to make money out of it. Then you need to be competitive against that. We are very start running
Hopefully everyone has an opportunity to share. So there are quite a few exercises like that, but because time is short, we'll do one more and maybe then we'll see how it helped you. Oftentimes a fear of failure also stops us from trying to do what we really want to do. And so that fear of failure has to be removed from our consciousness, because no matter what you do, you would have to fail. It's like compulsory. Like learning to ride a bicycle, It's like, was there anyone who just sat on the bicycle and had a perfect ride from the first time? No. You would have to fall off the bike a few times before you learn. So it is like that with every single activity. So it's really, subjective thing, the fear of failure. Because objectively, failure is a natural stage you have to go through. And so that's why we have to think past that fear. Have to learn to think past that fear. And the following exercise would help us in that. And so imagine that whatever you want to do, Krishna himself appears in front of you and says, I guarantee that you will succeed. Right? And so if Krishna himself would say that, what would you dare to try? Okay? And what would you dare to try? You would have absolute guarantee of success. Alright? few minutes for that one. Okay. Get back to the same.
Okay.
I was thinking like things I could do in the immediate future. So one thing is because I saw that also is like in America, especially in the land. I don't have any money. These things. At the very least, you can because you're saying like if you're not able to own something and have money, there's so many ways to do it. Even people here, they have yards. You can encourage them to do it.
Yeah, or borrow it. Or
Just say, can I use some of this yard and grow something?
yeah, within schools, the church,
There's so many ways to do
government offices, they have
it. And put worms in the basement.
Actually,
You can collaborate with the community.
exactly. And there are already groups that do it, but disconnected from Krishna. Really, they're nice and there's growing herbs nearby. They do herbs. It's called growing hope.
Okay?
And it's an association with a piece of land that they do all these projects in the neighborhood.
Like there's one in the front part.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's a little bit big. Growing homes they even have a structure and things like that. Growing the front part is just a little piece of land and they do thing. But growing homes it's really growing good. And they manage to fund. There are brands and things that really well.
Like, because you combine it with education.
Exactly. Spread the awareness about food and diet. There are even things they do various market, education, could do all that. And I've been looking also, maybe you've heard, I'm looking for a house and things.
Okay, I can see that some of the
I've also done this in different directions. I've gone in different directions. I'm not sure yet what will be the ultimate direction at the end, but the houses with yard are the ones that attract me. Also, in Italy, the house, it was central. Here it's central, small city. And behind there was this park. No one goes there, so I started to plan. Even more than because, and that was always a pleasure. Like, big fruit trees, planted
You just do it anyway. Nature just accepts it.
Exactly. You have to do it in a way, in a place where you know that it won't be destroyed.
Especially if you plant a fruit tree, it's going to go and uproot it. It's just there.
Unless they choose to build something on that, it's exhausted.
And most people won't even know it's a fruit tree until it's there.
That's exactly my and fruit trees, if you know how to grow them, and you know where to get them.
And even Michigan, like cherry trees and apple trees, if you just plant them, it's like that's it.
That's what makes it. Especially fruit trees at the beginning, you need to have them.
But once they have strong roots,
September is the first period was March, April, the next one is September. Because it's before dormant.
Alright, so thank you. Did you find that helpful? Yes? So, and actually this is a really important subject that we act for Krishna according to our nature, because then we'll be successful and we can dedicate the success to Krishna. And my conviction is that the success of the movement as a whole depends on the success of its members, and I think it's very obvious. And I have a good news for all of you, because some of you think it's a good, wishful thinking to have $10 million at my disposal, but it's not a reality, is it? How many of you have these thoughts crossing your mind? Everyone's convinced that $10 million are available. Actually, it is even more, because in this country there are plenty of opportunities, there are plenty of money available, billions of dollars, not just millions. I never checked, but probably it is tens of billions of dollars, because we've checked in United Kingdom, it's few billions of pounds, and the population of UK is just 1/6 of the American population, and so this country has much greater resources. These are the finances which are available for anyone who would do something which would positively impact the lives of the population. Anyone in any sphere of life, in any way, shape, or form. The only thing you have to figure out how to insert Krishna conscious or spiritual technology into it. And success is also guaranteed, because if you do something useful, if you do something which is obviously addressing some need of the people, then there are people who are specifically designated, like in the government, to make sure that you succeed, right? Because they want it as well. They want you to succeed, so they'll make sure that you have an effective plan and everything else. And so, in this connection, we're going to be starting a very special training school in Shidambayapur this November, and it is meant to train devotees in becoming outreach leaders. We call it Leadership Empowerment School. And it's the very first time in history something like that is happening in our society. It's meant for the fulfillment of the first purpose of this Swami, which is the most ambitious purpose Srila Prabhupada ever set, peace and unity in the world. And so many, it's consisting of a series of training courses, and many of the courses are really important, but they've never been offered historically in our society, even though many leaders are aware of the need. And one aspect which is really lacking is development of self-esteem and charisma. And anyway, we're going to have a range of very qualified teachers and trainers. Mostly, there won't be much lecturing in that. It's going to be like training, professional training courses, kind of personal development courses, and we're going to be addressing really important subjects like visionary leadership, motivation, innovation, management, of course, character development, developing charisma, etc., etc. How to teach, how to mediate, how to resolve. And I'll leave a couple of posters with Devamada Brahmin, and you're welcome to check out our webpage. And if you know anyone, it's mostly meant for professional devotees, who want to establish themselves in a career directly connected to Krishna consciousness. Ideally, we want devotees to become government contractors, do business with the government and use government money for promoting spiritual technologies and Krishna consciousness. There are ways how to do it. Of course, government is secular and will not allow utilizing their funds for promoting a specific religious tradition, but there are ways around it. And you will learn you will learn everything about it. And so, if you know any devotees who could be interested and benefited from that, or if any of you is such a person, you're welcome to fill the form online, and I'm actually doing this screening and connecting with potential students myself. And so I also have smaller leaflets if you want to collect later. All right? So we want to create a bright future, not just for ourselves and our society, but for the whole world. And this is what Shabra wanted. So hopefully this will be a very significant step in this direction. And so at the end, Satya Sutta Prabhu suggested that maybe I could introduce one story about Giriraj and how Giriraj is connected to the number 108. Because nothing happens by chance. It's interesting. Giriraj chose to come here. The house 108. Would you like to know? Yeah. So one time we were in Italy with one devotee, and we were traveling late, going back from somewhere, and we wanted to reach the temple, but it was really, really late, so we decided to stay in a hotel. But it was a weekend, and all the hotels we tried to check in, they were completely full. And then we were becoming so desperate because it was not warm enough to sleep in the car, for example. We had to get the room. And then this devotee, Giriraj, was with us, rather we were with Giriraj. And so this devotee said, looks like we have to pray to Giriraj so that he will help us to find the room. And so we prayed. And after that, at the next hotel, it was also full, but the owner said, let me just call around different hotels and I'll try to find a room for you on the phone, and then at least you'll have the guarantee that you would go there and get your room. So he called one hotel and he said, yeah, they'll keep the room for these clients. So we went in, it was really late, and so he gave me the key. He said, you can take the rest, I'll join you later. And I looked at the key tag, it was room 108. So then we've discussed, and he said, yeah, looks like Giriraj answered our prayers. Found the room for us. Anyway, we were thinking, maybe it was coincidence, who knows. Mind is very atheistic, doesn't want to believe. You know the joke that one man is looking for parking, and he says, dear Lord, please help me to get a parking spot. As soon as he prayed, one car backs out, so there is his parking spot. And then he says, dear Lord, don't worry, I already found one. So unfortunately, this is happening in reality. And so next day was the last day in the country, and then in the morning we had very early morning flight. And in order to avoid the risk of, getting stuck in the traffic on the way to the airport, we decided to go and stay overnight at the airport hotel. So we go to the reception and asking for the room, and they say, there is only one room available if you want to take it, and this is the room number 108. And this devotee says, looks like Giriraj is serious. Second night in a row, room 108. And then we fly to Ukraine, and in Ukraine, one devotee organized an engagement for me to teach Bhagavad Gita to the group of Russian followers of Vedic culture. Russia was Vedic before Christianity, more than 1,000 years ago, and despite of, enforced baptism, you can say, and 1,000 years of Christianity and 70 years of communist rule, still some people, despite of that, they still followed the Vedic culture. They still conducted fire sacrifices, they still chanted mantras and everything. And so now these groups are on the rise in Russia and in other countries like Ukraine, Belarus, etc. And they recognize their ties with India and with Vedic scriptures there, so they like Bhagavad Gita and they wanted me to come and teach them Bhagavad Gita. And so this devotee received me at the airport, and when we are driving there to the festival site, he says, yes, these people are very interested. They're really eager to learn Bhagavad Gita from you, and we've got a few rooms in a nice hotel, and this will be your room. So he's handing me the key. I'm looking at the key tag. Guess what the number was? 108. So it's like third night in a row. Yes. So it was very clear that it was Giriraj's arrangement. And then later on, I traveled in Germany, and one devotee in Hamburg, Russian devotee, he invited me to stay in his hotel. He's owning the entire hotel. And I was very surprised because the hotel was named Hotel 108. Anyway, our web page connected to the school is 108pro.com. 108 stands for spiritual and professional. So this is the school for spiritual professionals, for those devotees who want to become spiritual professionals. And I believe Giriraj is really interested in the first purpose of his God, because Giriraj's function, the most important function, is uniting everybody. Like everyone came together under Govardhan Hill, all types of devotees, they belonging to different rasas, but they all came together around Krishna. So Giriraj is a great unifying factor in Krishna consciousness, and we understand that this is what the world needs. The world needs unity and around serving the Supreme Lord, and naturally that unity will bring peace to the world, and that will help the whole planet to really appreciate Krishna consciousness. Okay. All right, so thank you all very much for your kind attention. I think we should pause here. All right.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
Big thank you again to Maharaj for coming out. taking the time to travel. After yesterday, we were in Grand Rapids, Lansing. He's been all over Michigan for a few days. So he didn't take an off day. He came to us. Very appreciative. Thank you all. It was a busy day yesterday. It's been a long 2 weeks for some of us. A lot of preaching and activities. So thank you for taking the time to join. We're here tomorrow. Tomorrow Maharaj is going to be in Canton at Prabhupada Jerusalem, so it's not far from here, 15 minutes away.
Tomorrow morning and day after tomorrow, we have Bhakti at my home.
What time?
Tomorrow 7 to 8:30.
7 to 8:30. Okay. With Prashad?
Yes.
Bhakti's hitting.
Yes.
Okay. Cereal. BYOP. So, I'm looking forward to hearing a few classes from Maharaj and Bhagavatam tomorrow and the day after. Okay, and then in the evening, Bhakti tomorrow. So, and we'll have a poster up here at the school. The website is there. So, anybody that's interested, please check it out. Tomorrow. Thank you very much. And there's Prasadam now downstairs, so everybody, please don't leave without having Krishna Prasadam. Thank you again for coming on. Tuesday through Friday, we have evening programs, Kirtan. We discuss Bhagavad Gita. There's always nice Prasadam downstairs. A few good souls to hang out with. So if you're ever feeling a lack, come and give us a boost over here on Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is all of us. Maybe
Sure.
Giriraj is wishful feeling, so if anyone wants to ask Giriraj for anything, you can.